When it comes to ranked, we often feel like we already know everything there is to know, but as we get better over time, sometimes we like to forget our basics. We get so hung up on trying to learn new strats we've seen pro players pull off that we completely neglect things we've learned in the very beginning. Overconfidence is a big focus in today's video. Hey, what's up guys? Wait, this is not Overwatch here, and today we're going to talk about 3 things that I believe every single player needs to know before hopping into competitive. We're not going through all the basics along the lines of don't stand out in the open. This is not the point of today's video. It's more about very basic concepts that don't really relate to how you handle your heroes or anything like that. If I was to give it a guess, then I would say that about half of the matches on ladder are being thrown out the window because players ignore something very basic. And that's what I want to focus on today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 1, are you even ready for ranked? Let me go on ahead and tell you that only because you hit level 25, that does not mean that you're necessarily ready for ranked. I mean, sure, you can just queue up for it and nobody's gonna stop you, but the game does a piss poor job of communicating how you should be approaching ranked play. Other games with different business models have proven to be creative in this regard. For example, they would have you reach a certain level with a variety of characters before they let you enter competitive play. That ensures that you are at least remotely skilled at multiple characters rather than being stuck with a single one that might as well end up being dead weight when countered. So that is one of the very first things you should look into. If you haven't given every single hero some playtime, I'd really like to discourage you from playing competitively. I'm not saying that you have to be good at playing all of them, not at all. In fact, you are far better off specializing on a handful of heroes that you feel you do well on. However, it is important to have a basic understanding of how every single hero functions. And if you think that just watching a YouTube video is enough for that, then you're painfully mistaken. The best way to get a feeling for how players behave on certain heroes is by simply playing them. You get a feeling for how long their cooldowns are, what they're good at, and what they're weak against. That dramatically affects how you play with and against them in a competitive environment. There is a lot to be said when it comes to ranked preparation, so much in fact that I might even be able to dedicate an entire video to it. So if you are interested in something like that, then do sound off down in the comment section below. But for today, I decided that this particular point is especially important. So if you haven't spent at least a little bit of time with every hero yet, I really suggest you go back into quick play and do so before entering competitive play. Number 2, how do you tell whether or not a game is lost? If there's one thing I never want to see in Overwatch, then that will be a surrender option. This community, going right back to overconfidence my friends, thinks that they always know everything, and that includes thinking the game is lost only because they didn't win the first teamfight. You know what? Yes, sometimes you do happen to get matches that you were doomed to lose from the very beginning, and there are many different reasons for that, like running into a 5-stack as a solo queuer, having too many or not enough support players on your team, playing against someone who's really good on their hero with nobody on your team who knows how to play their counters efficiently. But here's something you have to know about these kinds of scenarios. It is near impossible to tell whether or not a game is lost right from the get-go. In hindsight, sure, anyone can tell, but a game is not lost until it is lost. And the sooner you give up in your head, the more difficult you make it for yourself and your team to turn it around. That 5-stack you thought was gonna kick your ass, well, turns out that they are a makeshift group of randos that met in quick play. They might as well all be solo queuers with how little they synergize. That support you thought you were lacking, turns out that this Junkrat man you did not expect to swap agreed with another teammate who asked him if he could play Zenyatta. You thought you lost because you got 3 support mains? Well, that Lucio main over there has an ult account where he plays nothing but DPS and he's about to kick some serious ass. Bottom line is that matches are rarely ever decided in the first couple minutes. Overwatch is a game that has been designed with comebacks in mind. Swapping heroes is always an option. Getting creative with your comps and abilities can grant you success where you thought defeat was inevitable. So don't give up too soon. If you think trying as hard as you can to win a tough match is a waste of time, then quite frankly, you need to get yourself and your shit attitude back into quick play because this has absolutely no place on ranked. Speaking of attitude, number 3, attitude matters. There are 2 very important sides to that coin that you should always keep in mind when entering competitive play. The first one being that this is a game mode that players engage with for the sole purpose of taking it unnecessarily serious. And you should take it seriously as well if you intend to play in it. Ranked play is not a game mode where you should just screw around and refuse to work with your team. And the other side of that coin is that at the end of the day, we're all just playing a video game. Taking it seriously is fine and all, but under no circumstances circumstances should you ever get your pissy ass attitude in anyone's face. Everyone gets frustrated over things, that's absolutely natural, but getting toxic towards your teammates is not only not helping you win, it does the exact opposite. If you get angry, you should really just take a step back, hold it for the day or take a break, anything that helps you calm down before you play more. All of the stories out there that start with that one time where I lost 500 elo in a day have anger and stubbornness involved. The more you lose, the shittier it feels to end the session without scoring a win to break the streak. But the longer the losing streak, the angrier you get, the worse you play, and the more likely you are to lose again. Stop yourself before it gets that far. Trust me, you're far better off just coming back the next day with a fresh state of mind. You know, some days just feel like it's not meant to be. I've stopped myself countless times when the first few matches of the day were just pure and utter horseshit. And then I come back another day to a much more pleasant experience. But this is me done for the day, so I talk about 3 things that I believe every player should know before stepping foot into competitive play. 3 things are far from everything that is worth telling, so if you guys got any such tips for other players, then feel free to leave them down the comment section below. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.